Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's episode 4 of Throwing with Molly.
Threw it off.
Blair's back in white. Blair had never thrown. She started episode 1. We learned how to throw cylinders. And then episode 2, we learned how to throw cylinders. And episode 3, we had Jackie and we did bowls. And now we're going to talk about trimming. Favorite trimming tool? To answer that question, I need several. My favorite trimming.
One, Molly.
I don't have one. I always use a variety because not one does the job. So I just use a variety. And I do love a metal rib.
You scrapped all of them.
Yeah, I do. I like them all. All right. So if I'm trimming something low and flat like a plate, I use a foam bat so that I don't have to use a lug of clay. But yours, we use a lug of clay. Now, when you're centering it to trim, you're centering where you're... That happens. It's her first time. Who has that ever happened to? Happens. This is Blair's first time ever trimming. She doesn't even know what trimming is. I'm going to mark, look, my transition is right there. So, and I like to mark it just in slightly.
You didn't tell me that.
So I've marked with a fingernail. Can you see my fingernail mark right there? So, and also before you flip it over, take note of what's happening on the inside. Because when you trim, you're matching the inside with the outside. That's okay. We'll fix it later. So yours it has a very nice continuous curve. And it's kind of tall. Alright, so eyeball it to center. I'm going to eyeball mine to center. Anchor your elbows against your body and draw a little circle on top right next to the edge of the foot. Look, elbows against your body. Look, elbows against your body. Hold the needle tool with both hands. So you're braced. You're going to drop it like a record player close to the edge so that you can then stop it and see if your circle looks even. When you draw your circle, if it looks uneven, you find where it's thinnest. Look, it's thinnest here, right? And it's thickest there.
Okay.
So you support it on the thinnest and the thickest part, and you slightly push from the thick part to the thin part. Just a little. Yep. And now redraw your circle. And that's one method, is drawing a circle, and you can kind of shift it until the circle looks centered. Okay, let me tell you my second method. My second method for getting it centered. Hold your pin tool nice and anchored. Don't let it just follow the clay. And look at mine. It made a mark here, and it made a mark all the way till there. And look, no mark.
I see.
No mark.
I see.
So it only made a mark over here, so that means it's sticking out further this way, so I have to push it back. I also use my finger. So
Can
1, draw a circle. 2, use your needle tool over here. And look at mine, look.
We're the only ones going.
Look, it's running evenly. So it's centered. And then I like to always check with my fingers, so it's centered. So mine's centered, it's spinning, it touches evenly, my finger, I can hold my needle tool.
It's thicker here.
And it's gonna run evenly,
So
and I can drop my needle tool. And it's going to draw an even circle around the foot, so I know it's centered. All right, once I have it centered, I have to run moisture around it because see the dust? There's dust and the lip is dry. So you take a sponge and you just run a little moisture around the top. So I'm just wiping around this. So a lug of clay is this. It's just like a little coil of clay, and I think 3 is the magic number. So mine is centered, I wiped a little moisture, and I've attached lugs of clay, so now it's held on there. Okay, so hold it in place, and the idea is like a triangle. So if you put one there, one here, and one there, so good. I'm so proud of Blair. Guys, can we give a shout out to Blair? She's never trimmed, she's never done this, and it's centered. Is it still centered? It's pretty good. Okay. This is what I like to do. Everybody has their own way. I like to start with a trim tool that has a pointed edge. All right, the corner. We're going to take it. Remember your fingernail mark?
Yes.
You're going to brace your elbows against your body, and once it gets spinning, you're just going to drop right on that fingernail mark and make a circle. That's the first step of trimming. Okay, so we made this circle. Now, we're not going to trim inside of the circle. We're not touching this. Look, we're not touching that. But what we are going to touch is we're going to go down and curve. Remember whatever shape yours was making, we're going to match it. Once I make that fingernail mark, I go down, curve, down, curve. I only work on the outside. And I leave the whole center. So I'll trim the outside first. I'm just going down. And I like to say quick pace, light pressure. Quick pace, light pressure. Ooh,
You
India.
like to say lots of things all the time. Center to 3.
And sometimes it's not perfectly centered. That's okay. Sometimes I just fake it till I make it. That's another phrase I like. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
But
that's
here's
not
the
yours.
key. Wait, here's the key. So when you're trimming, if you're just trimming in the right hand and you're just adding pressure here, you're pushing it off. So the idea is that you balance this pressure with the opposite hand, and whenever possible, the unanchored hand, because this one's anchored, the unanchored hand connects. So you're almost like centering. Your pressure's balancing from the tool, but then this
I
hand,
thought you had both hands here. You don't?
you connect your thumbs. Always get it
How do
spinning
you do
first.
it?
So get it spinning, and then you come on. Hands are connected, and watch. If I'm here, but watch this hand. This hand, as the trim tool fades down, so does it. So it's balancing the pressure, so it can't just go flying because.
Well, and how much pressure are you doing?
Ooh, that was a really good one. Look, this is like the best. Oh, it broke, but like little spirals. She's doing it. She's doing it. So Blair, look, see these lines you're getting?
Yeah.
If you go like this, if you go really fast,
Do I need a bigger thing?
if
Do
you
I
go
need this
really
thing?
fast, you'll put these curves in. Look, if you're here, let it rotate, and then go here and let it rotate, and then go here and let it rotate, and go here and let it rotate. You have to let the clay rotate before you move your tool, so that it evenly trims. See what's happening? My foot is coming up, because I'm just going down. Right at that fingernail mark, I'm just going down. Look, down,
Look.
look,
Look.
and then fade, curve it off.
Do you need a foot? I don't have a. Do
You need a foot? Every pot has a foot. It just depends on what you do with it. Look at the outside. Now somebody asked how far do you know how far down you can go? So ideally you kind of feel the thickness before you flip it over to trim so you have an idea, but also you can tap. And you kind of get an idea. You're not. So I always do the outside. I haven't even touched the inside yet because
You beasted that out.
ideally, at this point, I could take it off. I could pull these lugs of clay back. And this is what I feel like enough people don't do. You can take it off and kind of feel. I would start and I'd pinch from the lip down. And the idea is that your pot is evenly thick. So we trim to remove the thickness from the bottom. And if you can get
This feels good.
yours is going to feel good too. And look, as you tap, you should be able to kind of notice the tone change where it's really thick. And that's something that you get the hang of more and more. But so I never trim the inside yet, because if I haven't trimmed the inside and I take it off and it's still thick, I can more easily re-center it and trim the outside before removing the inside. If you start doing the inside and the outside, it's really hard to put it back on if you need to trim more. So I'll just re-center it. And then once I re-center, just a little moisture, you want to wipe by the lip, hold it in place when you wipe, and then reattach your lugs.
I think people didn't know how cool trimming was, because I didn't
Trimming's
know what it was.
trimming's like 5. So this is Blair's
cool.
4th session. Blair's had 4 hours on the wheel, and she's throwing and trimming.
Oh,
Proud of you.
thank you.
Proud of
I'm a good
you.
teacher.
Killing it.
Teacher.
Killing it. Hopefully it'll get better. Okay, nope. Okay, cardinal sin. Blair's breaking the cardinal rule.
Too much?
She's just trimming.
Oh,
She's
okay.
just starting to trim the foot. So this is the outside of your foot. Needle tool. And watch, I'm going to drop the needle tool, and I just drew where my foot's going to go. Just a circle
I
on the
don't know what
inside.
a foot is.
The foot is the donut on the bottom. I call it a donut. I'll show you. I'll get a finished spot.
Looks nice.
A foot. I call it a donut on top. So first you trim the outside, and then you drop your needle tool to make a circle, and then you go from center to 3, center to 3. Blair's favorite phrase. Alright, so perfect. Blair just dropped your needle tool. That's the inside. So ideally you don't touch this. So you were just starting to trim.
Okay.
So now you get your trim tool.
Like a little one? Like
When I start this one, I like a loop one. So somebody asked my favorite trim tools. I don't have just one. And then I like to go from center, and I just kind of let it find center, and just gently press down. And once I find center, I slowly move over, and I stop. And actually, first I take a corner and I establish that.
Before you do center?
Yeah, before I do center to 3, I take a sharp corner and I drop it where the inside of the foot was to just establish. Yeah, so you've established the inside, so now go center to 3. And it's always, you can always take off more. So take off a thin layer, and then another thin layer, and then another thin layer, and another thin layer. And always tap and sound it out. And you can
go from out to in?
Yes, it's like you're reading my mind. You can go
Like
out
we're
in.
sisters.
It's like we're twins, but we're not. So I'm just removing a little at a time. And if you think about the inside of your bowl, because we're trimming bowls,
Yours
technically.
is so much smoother. What, have you done this before?
I was gonna say, like, I don't even know what to say to that because this is your first time. Guys, Blair has never trimmed ever. This is her first time ever.
True, it's my first time.
She didn't even know what trimming was. She got here and
I
said,
know
all right,
what it
tonight we're gonna trim and we're gonna throw because everybody wants to see trimming and throwing. And she said, I don't even know what that is.
She said it was her favorite, and I thought it sounded boring, and now I totally dig it.
And lean back and like see the silhouette you're creating. I think you can take off just a little more there, just a little.
Alright.
Remember, a little at a time. You can always take more, but you can't put it back. And then always fade your pressure out so you don't make a sharp ridge. And then the final step is you clean it up with a sponge. Before you take it off of the wheel while it's already centered and stuck on there, you just take your sponge and you smooth it out. Where you trim, center to 3, inside the foot, outside the foot. And then you just, with dry, clean hands, peel back your legs of life. Oh, somebody asked about messing up the lip. This lip got messed up, and it was because it was so thin and wet. So see, it's altered a bit. Can you see it's like smushed? So I just gently push it back.
Do it like that.
Just do it like that. Just before I'm done, I make sure that it's how I want it to dry permanently. So I might. Now, also, somebody's talking about signing their name. I'm not signing my name right now because we just added the water, so it's a little wet, so you're not going to get a clean signature. So resist. It's so tempting to want to sign it like you're famous now.
Warm it.
Resist.
I don't know where.
Okay, dry hands, lift it over. When you lift it over, you're feeling how the weight feels. Does it feel too heavy?
Great.
Show them their foot. How
I
does it
crushed
look?
it.
Show them the
I
foot.
crushed it.
Guys, Blair's never trimmed before.
I'm a trimmer.
Is trimming your new favorite?
Yeah,
Let me
it's
feel.
totally my new favorite.
Okay, so I would say it's a little thick. It's a little heavy.
I did
But guys, she's never trimmed. That's perfect. That's perfect.
It's like a ball.
That's amazing. But let's see here. Pinch here and pinch down. And yeah, like right there, it gets a little thicker. And if you hold your pot, like in the middle, you can feel where it feels heavier.
Yeah, it's totally heavy.
Totally heavy, but the foot is beautiful. I recommend if you take it off and it feels heavy, put it back and trim it again, because if you don't do it now, it's a permanent heavy pot forever.
Alright, do it.
Okay. So Blair's already trimmed this perfectly, but I'm just making her trim it more because it's still thick. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, Throwing Live with Molly and Blair. It's been so fun. Tonight we did trimming because y'all said you wanted it. Let me know what y'all want to see next week. I do have a mystery guest. I have a mystery guest lined up for next week. And Blair will come back. And then we'll throw again, and maybe we can get back to mapping y'all on the map because I love that. And Coco.
Dude, I
Smiley
crushed it.
emojis.
I crushed it.
Now look at that. You know what Blair makes a really good? Like when I make pots, I usually am thinking about the food I would put in it, and Blair makes a really good dish. Do you know what I'm thinking of? Would go great in there.
Guacamole.
Guacamole. Blair makes a really good guacamole, and that would be the perfect guac bowl, wouldn't it? It would be the perfect. Okay, and here's the other thing. Before Blair even started, it flew off, and then that happened. I don't know if you can see.
Jacked it up.
So I would tell my students to either intention. It feels so much better.
I did a good job.
It's so good. It feels so good. And look, it's so centered. This is our first trimming ever. So proud.
I'm a superstar.
But so the lip that was nicked, you could either make it a spoon rest, like intentionally carve, so like a spoon could go there and then just soften right there. Or like you could intentionally make something, but that was an accident. If you intentionally do something with it, it changes it completely from an
I
accident.
like it. I like your thinking.
Yeah. I'll show you this great tool I have. You just hold it and go. But see, mine is spinning, so I can just spin it and soften all at one time. Really, thanks for tuning in. That was so much fun. I wish I could have mapped out more places.
Alright, to be continued.
Should we do that? Okay, yay. California.
Somebody just joined. Bye. India.